Welcome back for another video. It was July 2013 and FPL just launched for the 13-14 season, and to everyone's surprise there was an unannounced additional tab that read Ultimate FPL. Befuddled users scrambled upon the page, some unable to access the homepage completely due to IP address issues, and others flooding to discover the new Fantasy Premier League game, Ultimate FPL. This video is from an article by Lazy FPL, credit to them for the write-up. Sign up for their free newsletter with a link below. So Ultimate FPL hadn't launched just yet, but the landing page boasted tons of new features, elaborate concepts and prizes, cash prizes. As the days drew closer, the patience of intrigued managers began to wear thin. Sadly, FPL pulled the plug on the game at the last minute, postponing it till the following year. There was collective disappointment, an air of confusion, and a few wet mattresses. Fast forward to July 2014, Suarez had just banged 31 goals, 20 assists in 33 games to earn himself a spot in the all-time FPL Dream Team, time for another season, and at last Ultimate FPL. So what actually was Ultimate FPL? Ultimate FPL would cost you £5 to enter, with £35,000 in prizes up for grabs, £25,000 to the winner, and £1,000 to every manager of the month. So what was Ultimate about it? In Ultimate FPL you had a 25-man squad rather than the 15-man squad that's been a staple of the regular game since its inception. 160ml budget rather than 100ml, up to 4 players allowed per club rather than 3, 7 substitutes every game week rather than 4. It didn't stop there, you can make substitutes and change captaincy during game weeks. Let's say you captain Eriksen and he blanks, you could bring David Silva off the bench for him and switch captaincy to Rooney. You got an extra point for player contributions during games. You could even make loan signings into your 25-man squad which would cost you points. There was even a homegrown and under 21 players rule. It sounds exciting on paper, so was Ultimate FPL ahead of its time or an overcomplicated idea? So why Ultimate FPL? Since the game arrived out of absolutely nowhere, we can only speculate. There was no announcement, it just arrived. The theory is that given the huge amount of money leagues every season, this was a way for FPL itself to get a piece of the pie and to dabble in something FPL competitors were already doing. Sky, Sun, Telegraph and other fantasy games had success from paid entry fantasy games. There's a lot to like about some of the features. Some players have been calling for the ability to make substitutions during game weeks for years and changing captaincy much like you can in the popular Champions League fantasy game. The reception, however, wasn't good. Roughly 25,000 managers in the first season signed up for the £5 entry. At least a top 10k finish was easier than ever. The rule stated that 1 entry per person, but it also stated there was no IP tracking software, so nothing could stop users from creating multiple teams with different emails. Therefore, the total player base might have been much less than the 25,000 unique managers. There was definitely a handful of managers who really embraced Ultimate FPL, but there was never much buzz around the game. The dedicated subreddit community only grew to just over 200 players. Fizo was one of the biggest, if not the biggest FPL forum at the time, and on their Ultimate FPL thread it reached just 93 posts in total. The following season, just 15,000 players paid to join in the 15-16 season, a massive 40% decrease on its first season. So what caused the fall of Ultimate FPL? After users rushed to sign up, many were greeted with a page can't be found error message when trying to access it, which in many cases was probably the only chance they would have given it. Others were having trouble verifying their age as well. This user wrote, "I've tried joining but had a message stating they could not verify my age. I emailed Ultimate FPL but the response was to scan my driver's license or passport to send them. Well, I can't be bothered with that and I'll save my £5." The 1-year delayed launch didn't help either. It was speculated to be due to a gambling license issue. That's because Ultimate FPL was legally regulated in the UK and in any other countries where betting isn't illegal. That meant that, to quote their terms and conditions, you couldn't play if you were from one of those blocked countries, many of where FPL has a popular following, including the likes of the Netherlands, Norway and USA. That meant a huge percentage of interested players were IP blocked from playing entirely. To caveat that, they also created a beta version which anyone could play worldwide for free with no prizes, though perhaps that only fractured the player base further. Another huge frustration was the crippling nature of injuries in the game. The loan system was ruthless, recurring points hits for every game week that you kept a player on loan. This meant you had to continuously take points hits to keep an injured player out of your team, whereas in FPL you simply get rid of them and it's job done. A -4 hit is the most you'll pay to sell a player. The nature of the game with a 25-man squad was intended to be able to cover injuries, but as is often the case, there were times when many players are injured simultaneously. The timing of AFCON during the season only exacerbated the issue. Looking at community reception, General Z finished 5th in the world and stated, "Finished 5th, not bad. I prefer the point system of this to FPL, but it's rather high maintenance of having to swap players between match days. Also, without transfers, it's not possible to fix the team if initial selections are poor. FPL is more forgiving in this respect. Don't think I'll be playing again next season. Another player, NoxVox, said, had a good season but will not play again next season, but was a good experience. This is perhaps the most damning example yet. Even those who had good seasons were not interested in returning. Another downfall is the nature of the prizes. The overall winner taking pretty much all the money, nothing for the runner-ups, and the manager of the month's taking £1,000 a month. Incredibly hard to achieve either of those though, even in such a small player base. So fast forward to the 16-17 season, after a drop from 25,000 to 15,000 players, Ultimate FPL disappeared entirely from the website, with no goodbye message or official indication as to why. I would summarise the rise and fall by assuming that Ultimate FPL was an experiment to see whether they could monetize their product, and to see what the appetite was like for an expansion of the main game. Arguably ahead of its time, there's far more engaged players now than ever. I wonder what the reception would have been like had it launched today. Arguably it could have been implemented a lot better as well. Adding a completely new and very elaborate version of the game and slapping a £5 entry on it was perhaps a miscalculated and ill-informed decision. So that's the rise and fall of Ultimate FPL. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Lazy FPL for the article. If you enjoyed the original content, hit subscribe for more and drop a like to show support.